Hi guys, Sullivan Owen here in Philadelphia. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some resources, online locations for sourcing primarily planters, but some of the things that I have around my garden that I frequently get asked questions about where did I get them. So I went through using photos of my own garden stuff and then went and found a few websites. So you're going to see some repetition in the websites because as much as gardening is taking off, there still are not tons and tons of outlets online for buying planters or garden decor. However, almost all garden centers, your local garden center are going to carry some version of pots or planters. The nicest thing I can say about buying at your local is that they sometimes carry smaller product lines, things that are more unusual. I happen to see a lot of interesting glazed ceramics, which is a little harder to find online, and also it's always helpful to see that stuff in person. But you also are not worrying about shipping because you're going to see on some of the screenshots, some places offer free shipping and some are shipping these things as oversized items. So the shipping costs really can add up. So let's jump into some resources I've found for planters. All right, so we're back in my, my most recent favorite application for laying out lots of information. I'm going to actually hide the spoilers over here. But first up, the main question I get asked about anytime I show my planters is my accent decor planters. And I would love to tell you that I found a place that you could buy accent decor products online. But like some decor companies, they are strictly a wholesaler. And that means that through my floral and event business, Accent Decor also makes a lot of vases and vessels for wedding work. I've had an account with them for 11 years, so I can order at wholesale prices here. But I was really pleased to find that this aesthetic, which mine I want to say are like a fiber stone mix, so they're heavier than a fiberglass, but not as heavy as like a full cast stone or cast concrete. So I found some really great options on both Wayfair and Jamali, and I just pulled a couple screenshots. So Jamali Garden is another store that I feel like, unless you're shopping for wedding decor, you may not have come across it. It's actually a physical retail location in the Flower District at the New York Flower Market. So they have a location on 28th Street in Manhattan, and then they also have a warehouse. Their warehouse used to be up in like Harlem on 125th Street, but I think they also have a New Jersey location now. But they were one of the first decor companies to really have as much of their product online as they could. And I used to go, when I was in full wedding mode, I would go to the flower market every week so I could order things for pickup. So Jamali happens to be one of those places that I don't think everyone thinks about for larger decor items, but they really, because they're one of the suppliers for all the New York florists and some of the garden designers that have to quickly grab things in the city, they actually do have a lot of good-sized planters. Their shipping policy is going to vary, but most of the fiberglass lightweight items are going to be able to ship. Some of them, they will want you to come pick up in New York. Price-wise, in this fiber stone, I would say I didn't put really anything on here that felt like hugely expensive. This is a material that, as any of these planter sizes go up, the costs are going to be incremental. Having had some experience now making some of my own vases, there's just a lot more challenges working larger. I would say that the prices that I was finding online for both on Wayfair and from Jamali are very comparable to the cost of the accent decor containers. This is my gray planter installation that I get asked about all the time. It's at my front door, and then these are the empty pots here I turned into my strawberry tower. So this was before I filled them, which I would highly recommend styling your planters before you fill them with soil because it's really hard to move the big heavy ones. Next up would be my raised beds. Now, these are not hard to find. I bought mine from Wayfair. The price fluctuates. I happen to have a business account with Wayfair, so I get a little bit of a discount, but I would say $200 to $230 is about the average price. you can find online for the Veridec 4x4x13. So Veridec has expanded on this style and made a 48x24, so 4 feet by 2 feet and 13 inches high, but they do appear to be sold out. Again, like I think keeps coming up as we talk about the upcoming season. There's just supply chain issues and freight issues everywhere. But one thing that is really great about Wayfair is that their email alert system is awesome. And if you sign up for the notification, because I want to say they sold out when I was buying mine, I got the email notification and was able to order them. I found some others. The edge right material, I'm actually getting a sample of their edging in, so we'll be able to look at that in the future. 4x4 by 14 inches high, but you're going to pound it into the ground. So this is pretty much on par with the price range for the Veridec. And then from a company called Nice Planter, we have another version of the Corten steel. Theirs looks like it's got a little more black to it. I would actually, having looked at this website where they make a few pieces that are comparable to some of the Veridec pieces, or local steel containers can usually be found because they are really becoming like a big trend. I would say that. All right, so my rusted planters. I think it would be the photographs. These are a little darker, but these are 2 of the many Veridec Corten steel cubes that I have. Not many. I think I have a pair of each, and then I have some long rectangulars. It's not like I have tens of thousands of dollars worth of rusted steel in my garden, though, not for lack of trying. So they've both weathered to a more mellow, kind of darker red rust, and they haven't really changed since this time. The specific 2 sizes of the Corten steel cube from Veridec that I have are the small and the large. There is a medium. They're all available on Wayfair. In addition to being on Wayfair, I found some other Wayfairs now. I think some of these might still be their in-house brands, but they're sort of branding everybody like individual retailers. And one of their online brands is 17 Stories, and they had a lot of very comparable and interesting planters in this same Corten steel. And actually, I'm glad I saved this screenshot because I really like this like round cylinder. I don't have anything like that. I mostly have cubes and rectangles in this, and I really like that round. So I'm going to be bookmarking that. Jamali Garden also carries Corten steel cubes. I don't know where they'll ship them to. Shipping might be a little nuts on them, but their prices looked good. It's just, you know, if they only ship in New York, New Jersey, or you have to go pick up, I realize that's not very feasible for everybody. But Wayfair and Jamali are a place, and this steel is called Corten steel. So a lot of, when this style of planter first started coming out, people were like, well, it's just going to rust through. And I actually was like, oh, is that true? And did some research, and now it's pretty widely accepted that they're going to be solid on the inside, they're treated on the inside, and the exterior is just going to get that rusty finish for you. But I think they're really great because they do have that aged feeling with being, I know that they are considered very contemporary. To me, they are very neutral, which is something that I like, because I sort of think of planters as just big vases, and I really want the plants to shine. I don't necessarily want the container to shine. So then I felt like, you know, not everybody's into kind of simple or plain or modern or contemporary styles. So I thought I would give you guys some resources for some things that I would consider a more classical style. These are going to be footed urns, things with embellishment. You see some of the, like, Laura from Garden Answer has a lot of this. Laura from How's It Growing has some very embellished containers. So I would say that Jamali is actually a great resource for very inexpensive versions of the cast stone and the heavyweight stone items that you see on some other garden channels. I think they will ship these too. And they're nice finishes in real life, and they're fiberglass. And actually, a lot of floral designers use the Jamali fiberglass urn. They sometimes have drainage holes, or they're just not watertight, so you do have to use like a liner if you're going to arrange in them. But I have a bunch of these. They're lightweight, easy to move, and they look really fantastic. They look like a very expensive cast iron urn when they're full of flowers. I'll try to pop up a photo. And then Wayfair. Wayfair is really, what's great about Wayfair is that they carry the entire Campagna International line is on Wayfair. Now, these are a higher price point, but they are real cast stone or real terracotta or real ceramic. And Campagna is like Unique Stone or Henry's Studio or some of these like garden decor companies that you really can only find through dealers, meaning like Accent Decor, they're just wholesale. And so you have to be able to have somebody place the order for you. And that's just not how I think most people want to shop for stuff. So you can at least shop the Campagna line on Wayfair. It's not all going to be available. I don't know how the pricing completely compares. I know that 2 big garden centers in my area also carry parts of the Campagna line. So I think that if there was something I really wanted to see, I might head over there to see if I could check out the finishes. Because the one thing I'll say about Campagna that I think is awesome is that they have 7 or 8 different colors. So they're casting these pieces out of cement, out of stone, and then they're applying an exterior finish so you don't have to alter the color, which is something you have to do with some of these other ready-made things that look too clean and nice to be out in the garden. Another location that I feel like I found out of necessity long ago is Ballard Designs. I know this is a home decor company with a catalog, and I don't know what their other brands are, but it's just always a place I check because they do carry some really affordable planters, containers, fiberglass urns, things like that. So check them out if you're into this very classic style. All right, so next up would be planters in the prairie style. If you're not familiar with prairie style, the most well-known examples would be the kind of pioneer prairie of this style is Frank Lloyd Wright. So Frank Lloyd Wright's design specifically around Oak Park in Chicago and other parts of the country were what he called prairie style. And they're exemplified by very clean, simple lines, but with none of the embellishment that you find in the kind of classical Grecian, English, French. I love it. I have been eyeing some very, very expensive pieces in garden decor in prairie style, and it's just, I haven't had either the right place or the budget for them. If you've watched my channel at all, you know I'm in the middle of like 900 things, and there's a limit to how many things I can buy. Campagna International on Wayfair has a bunch of very simple designs in they have them in lightweight fiberglass, they have them in cast stone, they have them in ceramic. Ballard Design had a couple of cool fiberglass, and you can see fiberglass, they're very reasonably priced. I didn't pull the price for the Capitol Hill urn, but with this pedestal, it's probably around $1,000, whereas these are $299. So Campagna, again, great. They're just really great decor for the garden. Ballard Designs, great options in some fiberglass. And then if you want to drool, Garden Artisans carries the Frank Lloyd Wright licensed designs. Okay, so you can't talk about garden planters without, I think, Klaus Dalby, who is like he's so good at these grouped planter gardens. He calls them container gardens, which I think here in the States probably means something a little bit different. But he's got a channel, he's got a great Instagram, he does these lives. He's a very, very passionate and talented gardener, so you can check him out. But I think he also has like just such an amazing collection of pots. And a lot of them have this kind of rustic aged feel. And I'm also going to put woodland style in here because I think that while they are sort of two different things, I think woodland would work really well with some of these. And by woodland, I think like a little bit of deep shade, some darkness, some tree bark and things like that. And I think all of these finishes would look really good in that style of planting as well. So Ballard Design, Wayfair, Jamali's got some super, super affordable things in the terracotta, and then Campagna has a terracotta collection. So, and this is where their finishes really come in. Like, I don't think that I have a place for an olive jar as a planter, but man, I would love to make a flower arrangement in one of those. Specifically, this kind of terracotta finish is something that I've been feeling like I would like more of in my garden. So it's nice to make these videos for you guys because it helps me get a little collection of ideas. And there is, you can buy moss in a box. And you can just wet down terracotta or stone finishes and put this moss in a box, powder seed on it, and it starts to grow this kind of mossy texture. So one thing about mossed pots, aged terracotta, or things that you receive already mossed, they don't always hold up very well to being out in the elements, which is where most people keep their planters. The other thing that you can do is just age your pots by rubbing dirt and grass. But I think all pots need to look a little bit like they've been in the garden for a long time. I think that just like brings out their character. I don't like when things are too new and shiny. So as far as luxury level goes, I like to think of this as like very high-end couture runway fashion coming down to the trends kind of make their way through, and you see them available in more mainstream stores. So Pennoyer Newman is a really interesting company. They're sort of known for this very distinctive white, off-white, gray cast stone. And they have made their business by buying old antique, classical garden decor that is not design protected and making molds of those pieces or modifying them for their own design and then making them available. So they are expensive. They're expensive because that whole process that I just described is a lot of work, and also they tend to be rather large pieces. But I have forever loved shopping on their site, daydreaming on their site. It's lighter than my gray. It's not quite stark white. Someday I will find a place to have one of these pieces. The industrial urn is one that I have always had bookmarked. You can see it's $1,500. I didn't. You should always screenshot how heavy something is because these things can get hard to move. But so it's not something that's probably in the budget for me this year. However, it's a site I really love to look at and just kind of daydream and think about. So Pennoyer Newman, if you're into this very distinctive colorway and you've got a place to really splash out on something forever, and that's the other thing when you're buying at these levels, they're going to be incredibly well made. They are made to work outside. They're made to be enjoyed, and they should last you a lifetime. So that's why I would consider them investment. I took a screenshot of the Frank Lloyd Wright page from Garden Artisans, but Garden Artisans in general has an awesome website. They carry so many unique and interesting garden decor items. None that I would consider low price or budget conscious, but again, if you are somebody that enjoys browsing, daydreaming, or kind of looking for concepts. So I believe that Erin from Impatient Gardener has the Heller House vase and pedestal, which I think is so, so beautiful. And these are other styles that I really like. So Frank Lloyd Wright, as I said, is the prairie style. You're going to see its graphic embellishments in terms of some of the supports, the base, but very, very clean lines. And I want to say Garden Artisans carries them from the only manufacturer in the country that has the license to cast these designs. So again, they're at a premium price point, but I think totally worth it. Especially if you have a prairie style house, man, if you can swing putting 1 or 2 of these out on likely the steps or stone columns or whatever your home was designed to have, they're really great. And they make flowers and plants look incredible. And then last up, I'm going to put, let me bring this to the front. I'm putting Terra Trellis in here because Terra Trellis, unfortunately, is one of those companies that had a really, really lovely original concept, and now you're seeing kind of knockoff versions of their work appearing. I have their Gracie Modern Arbor. I have the smaller size in the rusted Corten steel, and I think their work is really special and unique, and to me, it's sort of disappointing to see versions of their trellises, their work, which is essentially garden sculpture, being manufactured at lower price points and sold on like big gardening websites. So from my point of view, as a creative individual, I understand not everybody's always working with the same budgets, but I do think it's important that when you can support the original creator of something, that you do so. So if you've been considering one of these modern arbor trellises, they can be found for less, but this company is from 2 very talented women who came up and made these designs. They manufacture them in California. They're big and heavy to ship, and I think they're totally worth it. I'm not into some of the colors that they paint things, but I could see how they could appeal to so many different garden styles. So that's just a little PSA about supporting the creators who make some of these really amazing things that we get to enjoy in our garden. All right, guys, so that's my take on a few styles of planters, some similar to what I have, some the actual ones that I have, and some suggestions if my taste is not necessarily your style. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to be taking a little break from the design and planning phase of the potager to talk a little bit more about planning for cut flower gardens, flowers that you need, flowers that I think are great, and kind of I'm going to take you on a little stroll through the seasons of all the different floral arrangements I've been able to make from my garden and how I think about putting those plants together on paper before they go in the garden so that I'm making beautiful arrangements all year long. So subscribe, stay tuned, and thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.